pop up with the right info. Hopefully it does. Yep. All right, we are live. Good.
Awesome. All right, so I'll call this meeting of the Coventry Land Trust to order at 5:10. So we'll do a quick roll call. We do have a quorum. So Jenna Odell, Dean Johnson,
Josh Chase.
Lynn Carlson,
Art Chapman.
Rory Howard.
Elsa Block. All right, and Reed DeGrade is not here. Evacuation instructions, please.
Out either that door and to the left and outside.
Okay. And then, so onto the new business. So this is a special meeting for the item 3.1. Item 3.2 was put on there just in case we wanted to discuss and maybe vote on 2 Fairway Drive, assuming everyone had been there. So since we're still waiting on a few folks to walk it, we can just table it till next time. It was just more of a, it might be in your mind, so unless we want to entertain any discussion on it, we'll just do the 3.1.
I think I just hope that y'all can have that meeting with the.
So I just got an email back. How's Thursday at 9 work for you guys?
This Thursday?
Is that something you're gonna want me at or just you guys?
I think we have these specific questions.
Yeah,
Okay,
I kind of sent ahead too, so he should have the answers.
okay, all right. I was just, throwing it out there.
That's the.
Well, I mean, you're
15?
welcome to come. Yeah,
I think you guys can handle it. You just
Yeah, I'm good.
yeah.
But then
I'm
back
good.
up, Billy.
9, she said.
9.
9?
We're gonna
We
try to,
can't have all of us.
No,
'cause
no,
then
she
we're
was asking
a
what
quorum,
time.
and then we're not allowed.
Oh, she's calling. I mean,
technically you could. Because it is outside of 48 hours. So I could post it as an
no,
actual.
we don't want everybody.
Yeah.
We don't want the public coming and
yeah, God knows what you're.
keep it small.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people would have questions for the fun.
I want to go.
I had to move something, but I can live it.
I have to move something, but I think I can, so I'm gonna put it down for yes.
Okay. Sounds great.
So can you add this question then? I don't know if that's necessarily something they could answer, but to then in the future have a conversation about it for the Fairway property. If there's anything we want to know about what we can use the money for.
Right, that's part of what we
Yeah.
were gonna ask about is.
But like for the Fairway property specifically, like knowing
Yeah.
what we now know about what we'd have to do to the Fairway.
Well, I mean,
property,
we've had a lot of conversations about prescribed burns and all these other stuff, that
Mhm.
if we have this money, do we have the ability to utilize it for?
I would see if you can get it in writing.
And this,
Yeah.
this appraisal, this is for the appraisal of 2 Fairway Drive. Who's paying? Because we don't have money.
We
for
don't have money
appraisal.
for
Well, that's
all
the
of these
question.
things.
Yeah.
Questions.
Is
And
what I'm-
actually, I,
for
This would be perfect.
insurance.
Right.
Well, that's why
Liability.
I emailed him this afternoon because he hadn't gotten back to me. He'd said, I'd be happy to meet with you, I'll get back to you. And then he hadn't, and I was like, well, we have our budget meeting in 20 minutes, so we'd really like to get some answers before that.
and are we supposed to have a reappraisal on the Pettigrew property? Has that been done?
That has not, I did get a quote on it. 1,200. So that was good news.
Yeah.
It's not the worst number we've heard.
No.
No.
Pretty good.
And so I'm in the process of getting that. If you don't want
Okay.
me to. The Grizzly details, yeah.
That also the person that they should ask about the Venmo.
That is, yes.
That's on the item list.
Good.
thing.
Huh.
Anything and everything financial.
Fantastic.
Your best.
Including the plan to get our money back.
Yeah.
Where is his
Interest
office?
accrued.
His office
I don't
is
get it.
in Town Hall proper.
Buy the whole town with that.
It's behind the clerks.
Okay.
Or if you just go in and say,
Where, yeah,
The
you-
finance
yeah,
president,
yeah.
okay. All right, well,
Hopefully nothing important.
all right, we ready to do 3.1?
mhm.
Okay,
So-
Lynn, take it away.
Oh, boy, you're gonna make me do this? Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Like if
so the idea was that we needed to have a holistic view of parcels in town that, we might wanna send this, our letter to about, hey, guys, if you're ever interested in, giving your land, or doing something conservation wise with your property, we would be interested in talking to you. And so what I did in order to sort of give that a start was to go through our property scoring sheet and take each parcel and give it that point score. So for example, each parcel has a score of what size it is, what percentage of wetlands it has on it, whether or not it has water on it. So everything that's on our sheet scoring. So if we go to this parcel. I can turn that off. Little browser, thank God. Um, uh, this particular parcel scored 19 points out of the ones that I scored. Now, not everything on our property scoring sheet could be done because some of it requires a sidewalk or an interpretation by our fearless Jenna in terms of the biology, et cetera.
How do we know?
Right, so how do you know? What I didn't do was give you the specifics of each parcel, but I can look those up at any time. So for example, this one that we're looking at here, LaCroix.
It's gonna be that one there.
This one?
Yeah.
Ah, right, it's got the water on
You
top.
were
Thank you.
9.
I got a 9, yeah.
I had 12.
Look at you.
So
That's not the
this
same.
one, this one got a,
Are we supposed to be seeing something on the screen?
no.
Okay.
A 3 for
Sure.
acreage, right, so it's greater than 10 acres. It got a 3 for the percentage of wetlands, because there's a lot of water on it, which you can't see in this map. But there's like all this water that's associated with the reservoir on most of the property. So it got a 3 for wetlands present. It got a 3 for the percentage of the flood area that's in it. Again, it's got a lot of water on it. Got a 1 for surface water being present, a 1 for a stream being present, a 1 for groundwater, GAA or GA present. It got a 1 for a wellhead protection area. It got a 0 for being adjacent to other open space. It got a 1 because it has prime soils. Got 0 for steep slopes. Got 1 for being poorly drained. 0 for farm forest. A 1 for rare endangered species. A 2 for EPU, ecological unit planning type. I should say that's EUP. And 1 for historical archaeological presence. So those all add up to a score of 19. And so every property in the town is scored with those items. So again, things like critical, uncommon, ecologically fragile habitats, otherwise significant habitats, because that's a site walk determination. We haven't given it
Yeah,
a point
there's-
for that.
Real, like. It's really difficult for us to determine that via satellite,
Yeah.
unless someone's gone out and has that ground data.
Yeah.
Like if we had mangroves, that'd be a different story, but we don't.
So how do you get a score for the rare endangered species?
That comes from the Rhode Island DEM database.
Mm.
Right, so they have a GIS layer that says where there are rare endangered species. And so if it intersects with that layer, if there's any polygon that's a rare endangered species that has been defined by DEM, any portion of that polygon is inside the parcel, that would get us account for that.
And how far away do you have to be near or possible could have?
It's not even a question of being near, right? You're either in or you're out for most of these things.
Okay, so if I had endangered species identified it down the end of my street.
It's not on your property, you don't get credit for it.
Well, I noticed in the thing, it did say near,
Oh,
so I was wondering what the determination was.
I have,
What is near?
Where are you?
yeah, rare endangered species on page 2. Known to be present, or if not present, is there the potential for rare endangered species to be present given current habitat?
Yeah, so if it's down the end of my street, is that a potential for other properties on my street?
Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
That was my,
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
qualified to.
yeah, cause my endangered species map that I have in my forest management plan shows a 109, whichever that is, down the
Yeah.
end of my current street. I didn't know whether that had qualified. You
So,
know, how close does it have to be to have potential?
It's a good question.
it's a habitat assessment thing. And just every species is a little bit different. So, like if it was a bird can fly, but if it's like a little buggy, it may not. And if you have, I'm not saying you do, but if you have like cookie cutter home with nice green grass versus it was in a wetland, so probably not.
Yeah, I was trying to find out what that 109 meant. I had no idea, but I
Where-
wasn't sure how to determine, I know, to fill out.
Yeah,
Who,
right now
I'm
it's,
so curious, who wrote that plan that you have the 109 on?
That was, my forester put this together when he did my forest management plan, but it's an endangered species map from Natural Resources Conservation Service.
I know there's also, this is, at least in Massachusetts, I hope slash assume it exists in Rhode Island. There are like regulations for the distance from like known endangered species habitat or rare habitat that like certain activities that and certain developments can be. So that might have something to do with it, like if it's not actually in the property, but if it's within that distance from that known population or known rare habitat, there might be something that they were trying to take into account there.
they would say.
Nobody could build it.
Yeah, it's like, it's big for like,
We need to protect.
yeah, that's like
Yeah.
big in their
That's what I had
like
up.
solar projects. So
We've had homeowners tell us that they see these endangered species on the property, and we've had to have proof of it. And,
Right.
A video,
Yeah.
a photograph, stat, like anything from. I mean, we saw evidence of a Cooper hawk, up where we were, but again, a bird flying in and out.
Right, but we're still using it, but
Yep.
yeah, like if someone says there's,
Here's a.
So how do you want to, how do you want to approach this? Do you want to go through each one of these one at a time and discuss it?
No,
How it's determined?
that's
Or?
why, I had printed out that PDF report that listed the top properties that had an initial score of 16 and above. Again, this isn't. My thought was that because purpose of this is to find people, I mean, in my thinking, this is just to find people who might be potentially interested in working with us, right? So if we know that they're already scoring 16 or above, we send them a letter, right?
Well, but I thought the purpose was expanded because of our our meeting with the associate manager, that how we decide what properties
Right.
fall into a category that we would be interested in ranking wise versus others.
Convinced that she knows that we have this robust of a scoring sheet, you know, that.
I don't think she does.
Yeah, because she was kind of acting like we're starting from scratch and we don't.
Well, she doesn't see any of it.
But
Right.
as looking through all of the higher value properties that you have marked, I mean, like, I guess I had some questions just as far as a strategy goes. So for instance, if on, the little winding river down there to the right. Yeah, the property right next to the dam says it belongs to the town of Coventry,
Mhm.
but it's not a land trust property. I do not believe.
No,
So what does that mean if it belongs to the town?
There are lots of properties that belong to the town
Right.
that, and then there are the properties that belong to or should belong to the land trust.
Right. I guess the reason I'm asking, I have a couple of other examples here. One of them is that Green Company, because they
Mhm.
seem to own a lot. They have all the
Yep.
cranberry bogs that aren't in service anymore, right? And so,
Oh, they're
Oh,
There
they're
is
very
very much
active.
active.
yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
they are.
that's a huge.
She used to be the chair.
He used to be the
this
chair
summer.
here, yeah, they're very
Yeah.
big.
and they're still doing cranberry?
Yeah,
bogs?
absolutely.
I never see cranberry bogs. Okay, but they have a lot of property.
They do.
So I guess the question that I have is, like, if the town of Coventry owns a property that has a high value in our minds for
Mhm.
preservation, but they have no plans to sell it, give it up, whatever, so it is de facto preserved. Do you know what I mean? Like, it already belongs to the town. Do we just ignore that because we're like, well, that's safe, so we can leave it alone? Or do we need to look at properties like that we want to make sure there's no plans for, or nothing happens to it down the line? You know,
That's a very good question. My first thought would be to say, I don't know if it was, if we can consider them secure just because the town owns it.
Right.
Or
Right,
do whatever they want
point.
to it.
Yeah.
But if for right now, it's within the town ownership, so
I can see it from
I-
both sides.
I'd worry, I think I'd worry more about properties that aren't.
Well, same thing as the state of Rhode Island owns, but that's DEM, I assume.
Yep.
Are they,
That will not be sold off.
it will not?
Yeah, all that land is conservation land.
Even National Grid won't be selling off because they use it.
No.
Yeah.
Nor Narragansett Electric
Yeah.
as far as
Okay.
for.
National Grid, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess one question, and we were talking about earlier, is like, should we be approaching the Green Company and just talk to them about what their long-term plan is? Because a lot of their property abuts Audubon, abuts not Nature Conservancy, like making sure that doesn't get developed helps to protect a huge.
Yeah, and actually that, do you remember when we were at the conference last year, they talked about that big green swath?
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
so that actually came up today on my computer. Projo wrote about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they called it like the Pawcatuck corridor or whatnot,
Yeah.
but it's a big chunk, that connects us and that, and Mass.
So all this.
Biggest
all
forest
that.
between DC and Boston, I think, and Interrupted Forest.
Yeah, so I mean, contributing to
Yeah.
that
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like it would be a meaningful thing.
Yeah, and I think the Nature Conservancy
That's
has
there.
built that into one of their layers, because they have several planning
I
layers.
will find out, because I'm on their board now, so I can see if, I also am interested to see if there's any kind of like partnership we can. have
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah, it would be good, because they have several properties out in Western. As well as they just got a new one, just over the border of us, by Big River.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So it certainly never hurts to ask the Green Company, is it likely that they will?
Does anybody still know him?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
But he's like, he owns the company?
his family does.
He's got kids and grandkids and
He's in Florida right now.
I don't know. He's never indicated to me what his plans are, but
But I don't see
I
them
don't see
selling it into condos.
Ever.
It's not that family.
no,
No.
I don't think so. I don't
Yeah.
see him.
Well, you never know what grant.
Just in case, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
which is what the pedigree.
He certainly knows about the
He knows
land
about
trust.
land
Oh,
trust.
yeah.
But right, so that's the idea, right? At least
Right.
from my effort on this was to give us a simple first cut of people we might want to send a letter to, say, if you're thinking about doing any conservation of property.
Yep.
We're here, we want to help, we're interested in talking to you, and
So,
that's it. So Maria, sorry, Ms. Broadbent's thoughts on what we need to do anything to recommend properties to the town council is a separate issue in my mind.
I tried explaining that to her.
It's just not.
so,
I have,
go ahead.
I just had some like more kind of general questions about the overall like ranking and
Mhm.
adding up point system that you use, and I guess some of them are. I guess that's not entirely the point because we kind of talked about the way that we score things before. But for one of them is that the idea of like having rare habitat or rare species, etc. Obviously, I think is important. But I'm wondering if there is a way for us to like as we're approaching these things, let's say best case scenario, all the people we send a letter to are like, yeah, obviously we can't do all of those. So in my mind, I know that we just want to like try to acquire more land and like protect more land, but I'm also thinking that we should maybe be trying to focus on types of habitat or types of land that have more limited protections as of now. And I know that like this is already a very extensive and well-made map, but I'm wondering if that's something that we can maybe incorporate in like a scoring for this kind of thing, if we think about does this parcel or does this property have something new, like something that is otherwise not as well protected within the lands that we have. Just because looking at this, I was the PDF that you sent that was like all the 16 and over ones.
Yep.
I noticed pretty much all of them, the like town designation of them was farm forest. And so I'm just curious if there's a way for us
It's
to
your
look
point
more
to
closely
say,
at
like, we
that.
need to, look at the habitats that we already have as part of the land trust, and if there's things that we are not currently preserving, that should get higher consideration.
I guess so, but I think it's also just about like looking at the parcels that we know score high for all of the things. One of them being that it has rare or
Yeah.
interesting habitat, and if that happens to be habitat that we don't otherwise really protect, or that like otherwise doesn't have good protections in Rhode Island in general, that we prioritize.
And
Right.
from that, if you're gonna go from a habitat perspective as a biologist, I'd recommend two things. I would recommend, I'm not looking at wetlands because wetlands are kind of inherently protected because of development
Right.
issues. Open areas, kind of like what we looked at the other
Yeah.
day, as well as connectivity. Because the thing with rare endangered species is, yes, there's a lot of restoration involved, but the adage with that is if you build it, they will come. And that's what they find with habitat restoration and preservation is if you keep it, they show up. So those
That's
are.
what I was thinking, it's like
yeah.
grasslands and meadows.
Yeah, and those are sort
Those
of prime for development. We don't have a lot of them anymore
Mhm.
because all our forests have grown up. We don't do a lot of burns in the area, so.
Do you currently understand what the farm forest designation is?
Assume it's a forest that is where a farm used to be.
No. So farm forest open space is a designation, requires a property to have more than 10 acres, requires a property to have an active and managed forest management plan on that property to improve the forest habitat. So these are people that are already, one, interested in conservation and are doing conservation, and it's all controlled by the DEM forestry. The plan has to be approved by them, the designation is received by them, and then paperwork from DEM is submitted to the town to let know there's tax benefits to it. But here's my forest management plan, where a forester has to go through your forest with you to see what, what your objectives are, and then give work that needs to be done in the forest to improve the forest habitat for early successional habitat
Yeah.
and for whatever you'd like.
Because I'm part of, I have, our property does the, open space, and we've been on it ever since we bought our property. We were never asked to do a forest management. It's possible that the previous owner was already a participant and had done that, and so they just sort of grandfathered us in. But when we more recently bought an additional 25 acres contiguous to our property, they just invited us to do the open space thing, and we didn't have to do anything. So again, maybe it is possible, again, the previous owner there maybe did, but I don't
Well,
know.
for farm forest open space, you're subject to an inspection every 5 years, and you have to do a new plan every 10 years. So if it's been that long, you should have fallen.
This is public record.
And you also have to certify every year in writing to the tax assessor
Do
that
that.
you want to be on.
They send me the
no,
form every
continue
year
on.
and sign it, say, yeah, thank you very
But
much.
the DM wouldn't carry you over if you didn't, if you stopped utilizing their plan.
I could also target tree farms, not Christmas tree farms, but tree
Yeah,
farms.
there are tree farm designations, which is very similar also.
Oh,
So of the scores that you have,
Mhm.
what is the maximum they could have scored?
The maximum,
Yeah,
any parcel can
Well, it's-
score is 32 points.
It's 32 if you can walk on the property, right? So you weren't able to score those.
Right,
So is it
so let's
like
say,
20 out of 22?
okay, example, green property. I
Yeah.
think he scored the highest of all the things that I scored, and he got a 20.
Mhm.
So.
Hmm.
Of the criteria that I used for this scoring, the max that you could get was a 20.
Okay.
Because the remaining 12 points were things that you
Okay.
couldn't do with, okay.
Without a sidewalk.
Okay.
And there's one, so, and with respect to Elsa's point, there is I mean, obviously it's not a lot of points, but you could say other benefits accounted for, unaccounted for and above, we give 1 point. So if there's added things that you really like about the property, that it's, got something that's not included in here, you give it another point. I mean, you could go crazy with these things.
yeah. There's be some way, this goes back to the scoring sheet, how we would judiciously use that extra point.
Yeah,
Because if we start using it every property, then.
it becomes
You know,
meaningless.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, I guess this doesn't really make sense. I'm kind of thinking about it in the GIS. Like translation. But I'm kind of thinking that there are some things on here that we would want to weigh more heavily than others.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily what that would be, but like, I mean, I know like the point system that points like you could just kind of maybe adjust the like points possible or points given thing. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I think that's not necessarily, like, I'm just not really, I think that's
And
relevant.
if you were to really do this properly, probably you'd score each parcel with a weighted system where
Yeah.
wetlands get so many points because we think that they're more important than being, able to put a trail on. Or, it gets really complicated though.
Or even the
That was,
location
I
of
just
the
spent almost a
town.
semester doing a
Yeah.
project
But
after that.
Yeah.
but if you do,
Or active
if you
tax
include the
credit.
contiguous
Or
towns,
farm.
like in Connecticut,
Uh-huh.
Moosup Valley area, West Greenwich and Eastern
Yeah.
Connecticut, my guess is that you would find similarly valued like you can almost imagine there's a corridor there.
Sure.
It's the
Right.
dark corner, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it is tempting, again, getting back to this recommendation that we have a strategy, what are we trying to accomplish? What do we want in 100 years from now? What do we want to have accomplished with the work that we do? And it would seem to me that while I agree that this golf course is it's got some real assets to it. I think big picture to me, like, there's something that Coventry has that most towns don't have, which is there is still a fair amount of contiguous open space
Yeah.
that,
needs to be protected.
and if we let it start getting chopped up, we're gonna lose that
Absolutely.
one thing Coventry has.
That's why we would argue for it so heavily to the town council. Now, this is a really crucial, that corridor is really crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just to us, but to the
Yeah.
region as a whole.
Yeah, these people that made this follow for us are from New York. So it's, the whole region has recognized that that's
Yeah.
an important.
Yeah. There's the forest. And I put this in my memo to all of you that was for Ms. Broadbent back when we were having the initial discussions with her. What else do I have? So there was a study done by DEM. I'm not gonna be able to find it now, in Rhode Island, that, and Connecticut, and all these different agencies in this whole region got together, and it's a critical piece of property. It just is. For this forest legacy priority area designation.
I was on,
and-
I was on that
Yeah.
just this afternoon. I forgot
Yeah, oh,
where
yeah.
it was. I
Yeah.
was searching for something and I found it, and because I was going through and trying to understand how my properties fit in here, and I did find
Good.
that, but I forget what website it was
Yeah.
on.
So would we argue that
But-
Pettigrew falls in that?
Pettigrew does.
Oh, it
Yeah, oh,
absolutely
God,
is, yeah. I wish I had
That is why it was,
the map up. but-
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this sounds like the narrative that we need to start, like, if we're going to be going in front of the town council
Mhm.
repeatedly
Mhm.
with properties, and we have a point that we're making
Yes.
about this corridor, it'll become something they understand.
Yeah,
And-
that is what I wrote in my biological opinion for it too, and what I explained to Maria. The other issue though is we can't neglect the eastern side of town.
No.
That's the problem. So
Except-
definitely that
But
should
you
be
gotta
a
find the
priority,
property
but-
on the eastern side of town, I think
Yeah.
that's the problem we run into, because we
But-
tried that place over at Boxdale at Howard Avenue, and
Yeah,
I'm just devil's advocate,
Mm.
because it is so densely populated already, the
Mhm.
eastern side of town. Like, one could argue that we've already given, that game's already been lost, right? That there is not really open space that is all that valuable. Every open space is so boxed in by neighborhoods and everything. else.
yeah, if
But
you're,
that if we're within the same town, all of those people have the right to access properties that we've preserved on the western
Yeah.
half of town.
they
Sure.
do, I'm just trying to be aware, and this is something the town council has asked us before, is why are you not looking
Yep.
at eastern? Because the eastern end just demographically tends to be a little bit more financially disadvantaged, so they may not be able to get out to Western
Mhm.
Coventry for whatever reason.
And that's the argument for the golf course, is that it's on the bike path,
Mhm.
which
Right.
means it connects a lot of people to that
Yeah.
spot without having to have a car. They could get to it relatively easily. So, I mean, in some ways, if we get that property, maybe we can be excused from thinking about Eastern Coventry for a while and could just start
Yeah.
focusing on the
Yeah.
corridors
The
issue.
thing- Yeah, and I think,
Yeah, and from a connectivity standpoint, it shows.
well, it's just gonna develop in eastern.
this is,
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
golf course right here.
Yeah, there's
Um,
the latest ad village.
the bike path.
So what's that one above it?
This is
We looked at that this last time for
Farm
some reason.
Forest, got a 12, Abbott's Crossing Road.
Is that the Blueberry Farm?
Don't know. Right, well,
We have the best blueberries. We did. I was 5.
She still remembers.
They were good.
That's what I'm looking for.
I mean, there are
We
some,
could
there are
also,
some bigger
looking at it,
There are.
just
parcels.
focus on the productive. You know, along the river. Because it's kind of conserved a little bit to begin with because of that wetland sign.
Well, yeah, where the town with the youth recreation center on Main Street there, that property goes out to the water. I don't think it goes out to the bike path at all, but that's gonna come down, right? Isn't the town selling that and taking that building down,
I think it is.
the teen center?
It's getting
I think I know the property that you're talking about.
You're talking about near Whipple?
It's on
Further
Washington.
down.
Kind of ish.
Yeah, further down, almost across from the funeral home down there, but.
Maybe doesn't Whipple come around, almost get there
I
along the
don't,
water?
I don't
No, it doesn't
think
go
so.
that
far.
I don't think it
Not
goes
that
that far,
far.
but that's another great piece of property that has value to it, but I don't know what the town's gonna do with it.
I think my only reservation about focusing on the river is that I'm pretty sure are like multiple organizations that do that, like that like
Yeah.
exist specifically, like the Patuxent River Foundation, and there's one that's for the watershed. So I
Yeah.
feel like,
Yeah, and we do have on the other side, although I don't think it technically touches us, the wood pocket ducks.
yeah. Lynn, or generally, can I ask a couple more questions about this?
Mhm.
And again, I realize that some of these are things that maybe got brought up, a while ago, but, for the historical or archaeological, resources piece, I'm wondering, are we considering indigenous resources in that, or is that pretty much just colonial resources?
No, it's just colonial resources. Things like, historic buildings that are on the National Register have like historic places, historical cemeteries.
Yeah.
So,
We don't have any information that I know of on indigenous resources.
yeah, I'm just wondering if there would be any shot of us like working with some indigenous scholars of the state. I know they like recently redid their museum and have some good resources there, and I feel like knowing that this pretty much all of Coventry was Narragansett land, I'm fairly sure.
But the parcel on Black Rock came up, we reached out to Lorna Spears through the Narragansett tribal community for her to get if there was any historical information about Black Rock, and the room was that was used for Native American ceremonies, marriage ceremonies, adulting ceremonies, things like that, but we couldn't find anything. We did reach out to her to look into it, see if there was anything there. Same with any type
Yeah.
of burial grounds or anything that were sensitive as well.
Yeah, I just think it could
It's a
potentially be nice to.
The specific parcel that had the Black Rock on it. right?
Yeah, right on Black Rock Road, and that's what, and it was just a,
Little triangle.
yeah, it was a tough location, there's no parking or anything, and there's,
I
I
think
just think it could be
I think
nice to.
we
we
Should
reach
have
out,
that
we should, we
Yeah.
can, and Lorna is very easy to reach out to, she's a
Yeah.
friend of mine's in-law, so I know we can.
Or the
Yeah.
Rhode Island Indian Council. is
Yeah,
also a
absolutely.
resource.
Yeah,
Yep.
I just think if we're trying to do historic and archaeological resources, I
Yeah,
think there's a
yeah.
possibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it
Oh, I
can
agree.
help prevent a property from being sold too, if there is a
Yeah.
designation there,
Yeah.
as a protection.
So, yeah, I don't know how are we go about doing that?
That might just be something we like add to the protocol. Or spreadsheet of like,
right.
when we consider a property. Whether it's after the appraisal process or whatnot, we reach out and say, hey, do you have
We
anything?
didn't really know anything on that
Yeah.
part.
Right, because it seems like we've got the scoring system, and then any property is also gonna have a narrative that goes with
Yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
But
can
I
be,
mean, if we're including my only concern with that would be if we're giving points to a property that might contribute to whether we consider it or not, based on whether there are historical or archaeological resources, then I feel like it feels a little weird to me to include colonial resources in the scoring,
No, but
but
if our
only
process
consider
is-
indigenous in the after.
If our process is to send letters to anyone who scored whatever 16 and above,
But part of that scoring.
but wait. Starting with that, and then once we start getting property, like response, some level of interest, we could rescore it, like we could reach out to these resources and say, hey, we're considering this property. And we could rescore it, because then when we go in front of the town, we're gonna wanna be able to say, hey, these are our system and these are all the assets.
I understand that, I just am saying, I think if part of whether they have 16 or above points is whether there are historical. or
I know,
archaeological
just my
resources.
concern is, it's gonna take, excuse me, someone quite a bit of work,
Oh, to
probably.
determine that,
To
yeah.
research whether there's
Oh,
any
yeah.
significance, so we can't say, here's 50 properties, can you tell us if any of these are significant? It's probably more effective if we can say, hey, we're looking at these 3 properties now, because these people have shown interest in working with us. can you tell us if you've got anything, you know?
I'm with you on
Yeah.
that. We should consider
Yeah.
it efficiency wise.
It's just, I just feel if you, like, it feels iffy to me to. I don't know, it just feels iffy to me to like include that.
It
as
is,
a
it is
point
wrong that
in
the information is unavailable.
But it's not, it's
Which
not
is a
that,
broad
it's just
issue.
that like, if we are including that piece in our scores. In my mind, and if people disagree, then that's fine, I'm just putting it out there that in my mind. If we are considering historical and archaeological resources, we should have the information to do that, not just for white colonial history in Coventry.
Right.
To give points to it, and so, I don't know if that
It just
necessarily
sounds like
means that we would remove that.
Finding that information is too, oh, you're.
I just don't necessarily mean that means we would remove that from the point system, because I don't necessarily
Because you don't
think
have
that
the
a
full
piece
picture.
of land that
Mhm.
has a old colonial rock wall or foundation
Which-
should be given a point boost over another piece of land that we don't know if there is history from people that did not leave things like stone
Well-
foundations that we recognize as historical resources.
Even if it were, like, let's say we had a layer that was indigenous, even if it did have something, it would just be a one. So unless it's like a tiebreaker, scoring wise, it's not significant here.
Right. It's
And I
the,
can
it's
even
the
tell you-
natural
I'm just thinking if
resources
we-
are getting a lot more consideration than the.
So then why don't we just like, I don't know, it feels like maybe Josh, you understand what I'm saying, like, why don't we just remove
yeah,
the historical
I think-
archaeological resources if we don't have the information to actually say that we're considering historical and archaeological resources, we're actually.
When we're
like,
only
We're actually
considering
only
half of it.
considering,
This
No, white
protection,
colonial
this
history.
protection that, but when I was looking, I was thinking historic or archaeological, I would think archaeological would speak more to Native American, seeing that we had long before the history of colonialism. So it would have even broadened that definition.
but if we're saying that we just don't have that information, and I agree that it would take. Indigenous scholar, a lot of work to find that information. In the minimal work that I did in college to like look into the Narragansett history on this land, there's like significant evidence that the like of when the land was purchased from indigenous people. But that's the kind of thing that gets erased. So I understand that you're correct that it would like take a lot of work. And also, I would also feel iffy about asking somebody to do that without providing something to them. That's a different conversation. But I just think if we don't have all the information, we should just remove that from this scoring. And then once we say that, yes, you're right, like the natural pieces are already, yeah, they're taking up way more. So if we're scoring these primarily based on the natural habitats already, I feel like to me, it makes a little bit of sense to remove the historic and archaeological thing. And then once we've narrowed down to a few places that have high natural resource value, then we can say, okay, and what places have this easily accessible colonial historical data or information? And can we ask somebody or look into whether they have this indigenous piece? Because I just feel weird about adding a point to something when in reality, we don't actually know. Like some of these places might be way more valuable. Like some of these places might have historical significance to indigenous people in this state, but they wouldn't be weighted any higher, or they, wouldn't even be considered necessarily
But
because.
Jenna's point is, even if they did, it would only be worth 1 point. Alright, for instance.
So
Yeah, so like why not? So like why not remove?
the
Yeah,
front,
the current one we have in there is also only worth 1 point. So I think,
And historical and cultural is in our mission statement.
yeah, and so I think your argument is we're scoring it only having half of the picture. And if we don't have the whole picture for that particular criteria, let's put that off onto something later on when we can do the proper research for that particular scoring value.
Could our protocol be that, let's say we decide our cutoff for sending letters or, inviting people to consider working with us is 16. If we look at all of the properties that got us 16, if they don't have anything checked for cultural, that,
there's 8 of them that have
Yeah.
a point for historic.
yeah, so they'd be there anyway, because they have colonial history that's been demonstrated, so they would still get that point.
Mhm.
But the properties, maybe we look at all the ones in the 15 section that don't have anything and consider, you know what I mean, like maybe.
But I think that's more complicated than what I'm saying, which is like, I'm kind of thinking the flip of it, which is. If they have 16, it means they would not have hit that cutoff. If they did not have that 1 point from having colonial history, and there are other properties that maybe have indigenous history that could hit that 16 point.
Right,
cutoff.
right.
So I'm just saying, like, what if we remove it, make that, like, remove that possible point, make the cutoff 15, and then once we
I'm
have
saying,
found.
I'm pretty much saying the same thing. I'm just saying, like, we're gonna give them the point for colonial history too. So maybe we include all the properties in that got 15 that don't have anything, and all the properties that got 16.
Yeah.
So what resource would we utilize to determine indigenous?
That's the thing that I don't know, but that's why I'm saying that it would be like what you guys were saying about like having a more limited list and being like, okay, in these lands,
Yeah.
what can you find out? Like there's indigenous scholars and Narragansett scholars specifically that are like that have that.
So
the
we
ability
would
to
have
look
But
at-
I'm talking about us here, because we're the ones doing this, or it's available online to us. If the resource is not available to us, that shouldn't negate us from utilizing the history that is available to us. We shouldn't be penalized, nobody, there shouldn't be a penalization for a resource that's not available to us.
I agree with you, and I'm not saying that. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but what I'm saying is. The way that Josh put it is correct, in that like we are not able to get the full history of the land, and if. I think part of the mission of protecting the historic and archaeological history of the town also means indigenous people. I think it makes sense in my mind to focus this initial scoring on the way more other things that we do have all the information for, which is like all the natural resources things, the access points, whatever. And then from there, so
But then you can argue we don't have all the information, like with everything, like with rare and endangered species, wherever it went. The Natural History Survey has data of past rare and endangered species that have been documented in Coventry. Unfortunately, they were documented 40 years ago when you didn't get a GPS point. You just got Coventry. And we all know that doesn't mean a lot. So we don't have the full picture there. And there are rare species that Stella Hall is nowhere on their data.
I do like your thought, but I wouldn't like to penalize the current system that we're trying to create. But I do think it would be a worthwhile project for us to, whether us or maybe we can contact URI to get a student who's doing something to investigate and see if a resource can be developed or available to us.
Not just that, we team up with other land trusts.
Yeah.
And say, and maybe Nature Conservancy and Audubon, although Audubon's more birds. But team up with others
Yeah,
and
make
say,
that a project.
we want a layer, we all chip in on to funding. That way we can all use it for our decisions.
Yeah, then that's a worthwhile resource, because
Yeah.
now we have,
Yeah.
we have a project, we have a goal, for people
Yeah.
to chase it down, instead of, let's clear this off, and then, if it's not in your face, you're gonna forget about it.
yeah, I
So if we're no longer looking
There
at
has
it,
to be a grant, that would, work.
that would be nice.
Yeah.
And I gotta imagine there's grad students at URI that would,
The Indian
this would be
Council gives a lot of
interesting
grants.
project for
Yeah.
them to
That is what they're called.
put
And the other
together.
thing is, we are just one town, right? And so we could approach some of these resources and say, we know that written history is limited and, but do you have anything in, for Coventry? What do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can say, all we have is this neighborhood had this thing happen in 1810, and then we say, okay, we have information, we have that. And we can say they don't have anything else for Coventry, and therefore,
which may very well be the case.
yeah, that might be the
I just-
easiest thing, is
Yep.
just to find out if, what kind of activity has been
Yeah.
documented in Coventry.
I
period.
Quality of
the
that.
main thing for me is just not, like,
Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
weird that there would
Wonder
be
if the
things
county
that
would do that.
maybe miss the cutoff
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
don't get that point.
Yeah.
because we
then
don't
the-
have any information about.
So then the properties that scored a 0 on that, but had a total score of 15 should be at least in investigate.
I think that
Yeah,
would be
I
a good
think that's
mitigation
probably-
strategy until we have more information.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry to make the whole conversation about that. It was-
I wonder if,
That's important.
I wonder if an Eagle Scout project is done with that.
Well,
I think that's above an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, I think that would be
that's-
more difficult. That would be like a college student thesis, if not more than
Like
that.
a,
Yeah,
You are a master's
a
thesis.
grad student, something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that could,
Well,
like, there could be
Brown is,
investigations on that.
Isn't there a museum, that
Yeah,
Pfaffenhofer or some
Hafenreffer.
Pfaffenreffer that
Yeah,
has
but
that?
that's mostly like rich white people that stole stuff and.
But I thought they had an indigenous Silverback.
There-
I could be wrong, but there was
The Tomahawk is at URI.
Yeah.
That's the one.
there's another one, because there's actually a Rocky Hill graduate who was part of the whatever was,
Oh,
for a while.
yeah.
who works at this museum that I thought was associated
He
with
worked there?
Brown.
Awesome.
What?
What, do you remember who?
It before your time. Before your time, I think.
No,
No,
Atsa was older than me. Yash was in my class.
I don't know that either of those names are the right person. Oh, let me dig,
Anyway.
because, I just remember we were considering her for the board, in part because she was
Oh.
like. Runs this, like, this big in this museum that does a lot of the indigenous stuff, so I wonder if she
And there
would
definitely
know
are people
about
at Brown,
graduate programs
that are
and like
interested in
people who
that
are,
thing.
yeah.
like they're trying to bulk up their indigenous studies.
Yeah.
You just have to find them.
Yeah, but I did
Or-
Amphro, so
I'm sure
I know
the,
the people to email theoretically.
or the Narragansett Nation, I'm sure they have students coming to them saying, I need a project.
Yeah.
Like for high school or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's something that's important and.
Not,
So,
not,
go ahead.
not to belabor the point.
Yeah.
But I just think it's important to point out the practicality of that no matter what information we find about indigenous species.
People.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
I'm crossing.
Both are important. Both are important.
Wildlife and indigenous people, sorry, I apologize. From the practical standpoint of assigning a point to a parcel, it's going to be incredibly difficult, because I could imagine that research would say, well, because there's no definitive boundary for places of, at least I can't imagine that there's going to be a definitive boundary of an indigenous place. There could be some, but in general, they might say, well, Eastern Coventry was important because crops and whatnot. So then on a parcel by parcel basis, where do you draw the line? It says this parcel's in that boundary area, and where is it not in that boundary area?
And that's why I think we would, like, this is why I think we can do a lot of like
So,
speculation about it, but I think what we would need to do is speak to one of these indigenous scholars and ask them what they maybe have, or if this project were to happen, because there certainly will be things often tied to colonial history, which is it will be like land that was sold to this person and became X mill. And so we'll have the data or the information about that mill, but what we won't necessarily know is what it was before. And that would be more of a parcel thing, but there also might be like adjacent to this pond or adjacent to this, like this type of land, that kind of thing. But anyway, the point is, I don't know anything. I think, not to speak for everybody, but I don't think really anybody in here is gonna know anything about this topic. So I think there are issues with practicality, but I think at the very least, we owe it to like our mission and to indigenous people in this state to at least like ask and give it a shot and see what
I think it
information we can
belongs
get.
in the narrative. I think it adds strength to an argument if a property has that extra value. I just think, again, getting back to what are our action steps, and practically speaking, what can we accomplish and what's gonna matter again 100 years from now? To me, what matters, and I'm not saying it doesn't matter, it's just if the indigenous groups have not already identified an area as being important to them, I don't know that they're going to now. Do you know what I mean? And So
We don't, know. We'll see.
I don't know, but what I do know is that the possibility of this corridor getting chopped up and
Is
that
real,
being a
right,
very
above.
real thing that we can prevent from happening, well, in our tiny way, from happening, it to me seems like a goal that
Which also I think we know is important indigenous
would be,
area.
yeah.
Because
I thought the
it was
Green
half
Library
of-
had some information, because I know a long time ago when we were doing Carbuncle, but not the land trust, when we were doing Carbuncle Pond, we were putting in an accessible fishing dock through the Governor's Commission on Disabilities. And we had a lot of input from Native Americans. Carbuncle was a shell that Native Americans use in a lot of their service and ceremonies. And there was written documentation about the role of the Narragansetts in and around this area somewhere, and the Green Library might have some of that
Mhm.
information. Because I know we looked at it, like I said, when we were doing Carbuncle.
Yeah.
So from an action step standpoint, do we want to approach the green company folks and just like find out what they're,
Rory, you know, go on about.
Yeah, I'll get the clinical.
yeah, like, do they talk about it? Is there any? you
I
know,
think as a family, and it's an extensive family who owns, I thought hundreds of acres, but you say thousands of acres of property out there.
Yeah, it's over
If
a
they're
thousand.
about land preservation, they're not about,
They also back up to the pig farm.
Right.
Which I don't know if we should be concerned, it's a super
That
fun
was
site.
my
Yeah.
question.
So just
Farm.
old trig farm that was
The Pachilla
used,
farm?
no.
no, it was used for dumping toxic waste
Yeah.
and stuff, so
Yeah,
now
Pachilla
it's
farm.
super.
Yeah, that's, yeah, that's what we were talking about in the car, that I told you about. Yeah.
If it helps at all, there's 90 properties that score 15 or above.
Any in
Okay.
Eastern, any in
good.
Eastern Coventry?
No. Out of 13,000, that's a really good number to start with. Because then we can start whittling them down.
So my next question was,
Yes.
if we get the letter ready to go,
Mm.
are you signing it? Like, what did we decide?
I don't think we did decide on that
I
one.
think we need to decide. That because we have you as the person, the contact.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
you're interested, reach out to Josh, but I think the letter was theoretically gonna come from you as chair of the. land.
Yeah. So I've been wondering about that, because I've signed things before, but this is kind of a group effort.
That was going to be my,
Against it.
2 cents.
Yeah, like we could have,
That it's,
Yeah, and she
It's-
gets it
it shouldn't, well, unless everybody wants to sign it. I think it would be more impactful if it came from the land trust as opposed to the chair.
yeah, because normally when I do things, it's like much more individual or intimate, like I reach out to the library on behalf of us, but this is.
But you
a
could
much bigger
do, you could
project.
do it on behalf of the Coventry Land Trust.
Yeah, but I just.
I just
No,
feel
no,
If
I mean,
nobody
it-
signs it, it's kind of a weird
Well,
letter.
No,
it's
it's
just a letterhead with everybody's
Yeah.
name on it
Yeah.
too, then if someone in town recognizes a name, they might reach out to that individual.
no, I
Yeah,
think,
Not that I
no.
have any issue with signing. it.
Personal preference is, it's a letter from the land trust signed by our current
Yeah.
president. I mean,
Yeah.
she represents all of us.
Right.
I don't think all of us have, I don't think all of us have to sign it.
Like actually.
No, it shouldn't just be anonymous. So.
I think clearly you're saying, on behalf of or representing the Coventry Land Trust or whatever.
There is an argument for the personal touch of,
Yeah.
of having somebody sign it.
Yeah, I think if you actually with pen,
Physical.
not like a
Yeah,
printed
no.
signature sign it, I think that will
Mhm.
possibly help people not think that it's a like was sent to everybody.
Especially when the
Yeah.
town is big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People tend to feel lost.
Yeah. And we're saying in, I'm forgetting the letter that we have to
Mhm.
put together, but it says that like, not just that, if you're interested, it's saying we have identified your property as a. Well, do we wanna say anything about why? Like, do you think that would help with the whole like?
I think it
them
does say a
actually-
little
We
bit.
said generally
Yeah,
what things
preservation,
go into
conservation, yeah.
consideration.
But it's,
I'll send it,
It's-
I'll send it to you.
but we don't say anything now that's like, that would be edited per parcel.
I think that would be,
That would be
The two different,
labor
Too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
laborious.
90 different letters.
Yeah, and just open to discussion if the person's interested in having a.
Yeah, because we also don't want to spend hours writing a letter that ultimately gets recycled.
Yeah.
Or God forbid we get like 100 interested parties.
Or the other way.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's the danger.
One of the things
Increasing
that,
the number of
one of the
people
things
who
that
come
I
here to-
was wondering is, you know, do you send these out in batches of 10?
That's what I was just.
Because if
I was thinking
you,
prioritizing, like,
yeah.
if you send it out all at once,
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be calling me at the same time.
yeah.
Which,
I'll just compete with my phone calls.
yes, yeah, and so, you know, I was,
And we can't even possibly consider
Right.
even buying
Okay, well, I was
10.
wondering, should there be a line in here saying that properties are, something about if you are interested, there'd be an evaluation property to determine what,
Yeah, we have to we'd still have to conduct a site.
Yeah,
walk,
it would
and
be
we'd
like,
have to-
those-
Yeah, there's a process there.
but do,
Yeah.
do we include that in the letter? We just
We
say,
should.
If you're interested, we're
think so.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
no,
more
yeah, I,
Just reach out, all we're
Yeah.
asking for them is if there's any interest, reach out to us.
yeah.
I don't think you're gonna
if-
get that
Making
many
any
responses.
If you put on
kind of
there,
commitment.
oh, by the
or
way,
website,
hire
you know,
someone
yeah,
to go on your
information on the
property and
website.
do all this
Okay,
stuff,
all right,
I think that might turn some people off.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of
What
like the
I would
letter.
say-
just
Yeah.
But they can check the website, there's information, for
That's
more
true.
information, see our website, which is, updated.
Hmm.
It's
not
frequently answered, well, frequently answered questions, maybe there's something,
Yeah.
and then reach out, and I think too with,
We're looking at old
yeah,
minutes.
or with the list of the land trust on the letterhead, people might just automatically
Just
reach out to
reach out.
people they know, or,
Right.
yeah,
Mm.
or neighbors, as if they, yeah.
I mean, this is just because we wanted to have some way to. Again, we just wanted to have some way of figuring out where we can or where we should be trying to focus some of our efforts.
Yeah, this is great. I
Very
mean, this is
first cut,
Very,
Mhm.
very helpful.
very first cut.
How about we use it, because it is so fabulous, we send out 10 as pilot, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, you know,
You're,
choose 20 nights in the properties that scored,
Yeah,
20, 19, and 18.
yeah, maybe 5. That's 3.
Or
well, what happens if you're a poor little 12?
if you're a
Hey, I'm
12,
only a 9, so.
And then
will-
from reaching out, I mean,
You guys are not interested.
we'll get to you eventually.
again, there could be some other things in here that we haven't taken into account on our scoring sheet that bump.
Yeah, I was curious,
Who doesn't score high?
I was curious on the
Okay.
parcel size.
It doesn't.
That seems kind of
It was the connectivity driving category.
greater than
Mm,
10,
yeah.
you get 3, but, all right, so if I have, if there's 10 acres versus if there's 100 acres, they all rank the same, which doesn't seem very logical for, I would think, I would think property size would be a significant,
Yeah.
no, appeal to us.
that, how many acres is the golf course?
37
37,
something,
something like
37,
that.
around 37?
Yeah, this is really more to reflect like Eastern versus Western Coventry, because like 10 acres in Eastern is a lot, 10 acres out there is not.
No.
Yeah.
And
Well,
this-
I mean, maybe that's a separate line item. Is it Eastern, is it Western?
We-
2 points for Eastern, one.
We did
You're
that in the old.
The old scoring sheet, we scored Eastern higher, than Western for properties, because
swore we
it's the lack
compared.
of, yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me.
I think
Yeah.
it's just.
I think we
it's
just
for
need to
everybody access.
acknowledge that Eastern Coventry is Cranston.
Saturated, yep.
Oh, God, not that.
Or West Warwick,
So,
if you wanna be
yeah.
really crass and say.
So there are some properties that could be potentially things that
Yeah.
we'd wanna look at in Eastern Coventry. Look at this one right here. This one scored, I mean, I don't know what it is.
that one?
It's Farm Forest, it's owned by a guy named Clifford Teft. It only got a 16. So that's why
Is
it's
that-
dark green.
Josh, is that near?
It's on the river,
That's near all kinds of
And-
stuff.
so it's
Well,
wetland.
Is part of, so
There's a solar farm down by,
This
that's
is
like
um,
contiguous
Walmart.
next to it,
Yeah, we should not abandon Eastern.
that.
We
who-
can't.
Who owns,
Yeah,
whose is
Morley
that?
cannot.
that's a 12 probably.
Look at you.
real company. So that's the other thing we have to take.
What is our zoned industrial?
Because this property is where that,
There's a few places in industrial town like that.
there's a piece of, this was actually this building. was owned by
Oh, I
somebody
know
who
that.
dumped
I know.
toxic waste
Yeah.
back here,
Yeah,
and they got in trouble.
Oh, yeah, and then this is the
But
cleanup
it's
site
an
on the other
indus-
side.
It's an
Dump.
industrial building.
Yep.
It's an industrial
Hmm.
building.
What road is that again? The one. it's-
that's Arnold.
Yeah,
On a road and,
New
New
London
London Turnpike.
Turnpike.
Yeah.
This is
Oh, I know
where
that.
center New England is.
Yes.
Mhm,
That explains things.
mhm.
Go down here, this is this old building. I don't even know if they're still.
So I mean,
think
this
they're
is-
operating.
this
Parcel
this
is
whole
definitely
cleared
protected.
part.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day.
I'm always surprised that that's not
Which,
developed.
which one?
Right below
It's
it,
in there.
the white
Farm.
thing,
The white-
The,
yeah.
that one?
The dark green one there.
Oh, the dark green one, yeah.
That ranked 6. I know we said we were maybe gonna do 2019, 18, but I think if it's a 16 and it's one of the few 16s in Eastern Coventry, then it's worth it. I understand what you're saying about like kind of feeling like it's a lost cause over there, but because part of the purpose of the land
Like
trust
it
is
was
not
something
just
filled
the,
in or something.
like preserving for wildlife, but
It was
also
cleared,
for
and it was
access and historical value. and
Developing on the
value.
side of the street.
It makes sense, I
Houses
think,
inside.
to, where we can, to try to grab some of those larger, higher ranking properties in Eastern Coventry so that the small areas that we can, like, don't get further chopped up. Also, I imagine they will be, maybe this is wrong, but I imagine they'll be cheaper over there.
Not necessarily.
No,
Yeah.
No, because of development purposes.
Yeah. there's intense
Development
there.
pressure. Yeah.
But
And if it's
I would
zoned
imagine they're wet.
industrial, they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
The other thing is the town, when the council comes
It
in,
makes it, yeah.
they're gonna say, no, we don't want you to go after that property. We wanna keep it on the tax roll as industrial, because we're gonna, you know.
But we definitely should make an effort for Eastern.
Yeah.
Yes, connectivity wise, it's not there, but you cannot expect, and this is just in general, someone to want to preserve land or conserve land and wildlife if they have no exposure to it.
Mhm.
Or to support us in our efforts.
Well
I
stated.
think if the town council wants to say, well, I think we want to keep that one on the tax rolls, I think that's a them problem,
Yeah. Oh, it actually is. It's a them
you know,
problem.
and
The
It's-
public can then take that up with them.
yeah,
Well, and the whole golf course thing, like if we ended up doing the golf course, and I know that it'll take a lot of money to clean it up. I don't know if there would, we'd have to learn, like, when would we have to do that? Is that just like a long-term over, take out the
Yeah.
hazards, obvious hazards right now, and then deal with anything else later kind of thing? But if we provide access
goes there.
to it and
Yeah.
then use it as a way to kind of publicize what the land trust does. If we are adding another very accessible, again, right off the bike path, anyone can use it. Anywhere you live in Coventry, you can get to that pretty easily. That might help draw some attention to what it is that we're doing and make people care a little bit. That whole thing along the river there, like it makes me crazy that something might happen, but at the same time, having kayaked that, it's also quite steep on both sides.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't
So
do
I
anything with it.
don't know, like,
No.
so that's
It's not
that's
natural.
one of the things I
Parts
was,
of it are not that.
Right.
yeah, one of the things I was thinking is, I certainly would want to protect Riverside property, but at the same time, realistically, can anyone actually do anything on that land? Probably not. So is it worth it to us to buy it or try to preserve it when really it's not up for grabs for anybody?
Yeah, I would say if it's already protected by wetlands regulation for, development and such.
Yeah,
then-
Which gets
then
back
we
to
don't-
the-
if
Yeah.
it's, or steep slopes, or it's just not available to develop.
Oh, wait, why was steep slopes a positive point? On this
The
course?
idea
We were wondering.
behind
Oh,
that
and
is,
in the poorly draining soil.
Yeah.
right, so the idea there is that, those would be considered really undevelopable properties anyway.
Mhm.
So that we'd score them for protection reasons, like steep slopes have a lot of erosion. Right, that then goes into any water bodies. So if you protect it by preserving the property,
Oh,
but as steep
It's like
slope,
preserving the valley, not
You're-
just the river.
right, you're preserving a feature on the landscape that is protective for that. land area and anything that's downstream.
Because if you build up all that stuff around it, you can have a fabulous looking river. But if there's no way clean water can get in there, it's gonna have a much harder time being a good river.
But I'm confused by how those two things, like how the fact that steep slopes are kind of undevelopable. Would that be a
If you
reason
have
to
a,
not focus on that? If they're probably not going to develop anyway.
or this.
Am I thinking about, I'm just, I might be thinking about that.
It's right, no, you can look at it, right. There's an either or kind of thing. You can
Is
look
it
at it as, because it's steep slopes, it's not developable anyway, but that's not really true because
They'll find a
DEM
way.
doesn't-
They'll find a way. It's very-
Yeah.
DEM doesn't
Like
regulate
beaches.
slope,
Yeah, okay.
right? They don't have, they do regulate wetlands, but they don't regulate slope.
And it was erosion a negative or a positive?
Erosion is, so it's,
That wasn't a separate thing.
it's not a separate
It was
thing.
within the.
Is the argument
So-
that steep slope, if you don't,
You don't
if
protect-
someone if someone doesn't own it, who cares to maintain that slope in such a way that it prevents erosion, that's a bad thing. So it should belong to somebody, say a responsible organization that would care to manage
Preserve
and
slope.
prevent
Mhm.
the.
prevent the erosion from
Yeah.
happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
an
idea.
example on my property. I want to put a trail system in. But working with because I have a steep slope area, working with the forester, my trail could only go slightly this way, then come back and come back. I couldn't go straight down because that would
Slip
force
trail.
erosion that would eventually get into the stream. So no, it's protected that way. But I'm doing it as part of Farm Forest Open Space. If I was just a property owner that had a hill, well, let's go right up and over the hill, and that can lead to erosion, which could filter down into the streams and so on and so forth.
And I would also argue at this point, going back to looking at the Grassett property, which we own up here. This property has a huge slope
Yeah.
on this side. It's very steep. And ATV guys love it.
Really?
That's why they love Sullivan, because they'll just go up.
It's an attraction. So if we can manage that in theory, we might be able to prevent the ATVers from destroying.
Not that this isn't a bad discussion, it is, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep an eye on it.
Can I just quickly ask a couple other questions that are similar to this about some of the way that
Mhm.
these were calculated?
Not best.
For the, like adjacent to other protected land thing,
Mhm.
are parks included in that, such as like the park that's right next to the Fairway property? Like, is that considered as next to protected land if it's like, cause there's like the baseball field?
Oh, I see
you know
what you're
I mean?
saying. No,
No,
I only use, things that are designated by DEM or the local government as a open space area.
is
So
that
that-
possibly beneficial? Like,
local
is that maybe
open
something we
space.
should think about? Like, I'm just thinking. For example,
Depends
the
on how
like
you're looking at it.
little, I don't even know what it's called, the like little tennis court, baseball field,
Painted.
playground. That's like over near the auto shop and post office, you know what I'm talking about? We're done after that.
Post.
We're done after that.
Oh, in Hope.
It's in Hope.
Yeah.
But like that, people go there and hang out with their kids, but I also frequently see people that take their dogs like on a little trail into the woods. And I think in my mind, I'm feeling like people might be more likely to, if we wanted to maybe put trails on something like the Fairway property. In my mind, I'm thinking people might be more likely to use that and explore like the natural property if they kind of are already using or already aware of something like a park or like a place that they're already bringing kids to hang out, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just was curious if that was something that we care about, but
So in your consideration, was Farm Forest Open Space part of the protected properties?
It was just anything that had already was, let's see, bring up I won't be able to bring it up on here, but. Think, Lynn. That data. Portal. Local conservation areas. Okay, so in Coventry, local conservation areas. Like,
Is that all just public,
yeah,
local conservation areas,
Yeah.
not private?
it's,
You think
for
that would,
example, the Walker Farm Homestead. It's the ownership by the town of Coventry. Hunter's Crossing,
Oh,
that's considered an open space area. owned by the town.
that's an
Is there a field up, midway through, there as well?
And there's trails in the woods.
Oh, is there?
Mhm.
Ravenwoods Park,
Okay.
owned by the town of Coventry,
so it would include parks.
Mhm.
but not parks.
In the
like,
sense that I'm.
In the sense that you're
Like
talking
golf
about,
ball,
like baseball fields or something like that.
So one of the other questions we had, there was a point for currently used for
Yeah,
agriculture.
that was my next question.
So,
Well, it was
it-
specifically that there was economic benefit to that. That was
yeah,
my
it says
question.
there's economic benefits. So in the event that we were to purchase a working farm,
So in that case, we don't so much purchase farm outright, not like Borders Farm. Some land trusts do to a degree, some don't. That's more of a conservation easement in that regard. So like they're allowed to do, depending on the easement, like cattle and horses and ruminants and such like that, but they can't put in 20 condos
but how would that economic benefit would be to who?
to the local community. There's any of the farming, because it's also to reflect Coventry's farming history.
Okay, so it's not like there would be economic benefits to,
No, unless you get, like, we did look at that farm,
Potter farm?
yeah, the Potter Farm, that they want to do like,
But
events, every year or so.
Hmm.
Like kind of like Borders Farm, but on a much smaller scale,
Mhm.
as well as just keeping agricultural businesses here.
This is where I don't have, there's some.
Actually, on second look, Elsa, it does look like,
It is including that?
yeah, Herbert Payne Memorial Field is in that
Oh,
local.
okay, yeah, it's cool.
So it's,
I think that's
it depends on how the local government
Hmm.
gives their information to DEM, and whether they include something as a park or not. So
I think
it's probably inconsistent.
the other thing to consider, just in general for this whole exercise, is whatever we do will be imperfect. And we're doing our best. So we're not gonna get every answer we want, but it's
I think it's
better than we
something,
had.
yeah, that's. My only other thing was, I was just wondering if there's any way we can use the Endangered Species Act at all to our benefit for some of this. I don't know exactly how it works on a state level, but, and I doubt that we have any. I don't actually know this. I don't know that we have any areas that could be designated as critical habitat, but
So that's a sidewalk.
that's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's sidewalk, but also we'd have to to actually get it designated as critical habitat to then get the protections, would have to.
which is a whole nother
thing,
too.
Yeah.
But what we have done,
In
in other ones is that when we walk it, I'll take a look and be like, well, could it potentially support, which is is there a potential for it?
Mhm.
Like, could it support cottontails or bearing beetles or whatnot? Then that's taken into consideration that way.
But the issue with critical habitat, as far as I understand it, the critical habitat designation through the ESA, and then the only reason I bring it up is because then there could possibly be more like federal protections that we could benefit from, that we would not have to do all the work for. But the thing with critical habitat designations is it can't be theoretical anymore. It has, like, you have to prove now that the that the species actually is there. There's like, it's in like 2017 or something, they like changed it so that it can't just be like, could this habitat theoretically support this species? You have to say it could and it does right now. But I'm just wondering, it's like kind of just going into like how we prioritize some of these, if there's places that we think might have critical habitat, and therefore we might be able to get some sort of additional grants or support from DEM or something like that because of that federal designation. It was just a thought, I don't really have any concrete ideas. Possibly.
So
Some of the data that we've already included in here, for example, the ecological unit planning type. That was put together with some of that rare endangered species things in mind already. Right? As well as the natural heritage areas layer that I used to represent the rare endangered species.
You don't know if we have any currently designated critical habitat in Coventry?
Not to my knowledge, because there's, in terms of federal species, and
Yeah, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, do the same protections that critical habitat has federally apply to state listed species? Like from the states?
yeah, so whichever one is more restricted supersedes the other.
Oh.
Yeah. Like if we found American burying beetle at Snow Hall, that would be national news sort of thing, and then the feds would come calling.
So part of our goal for having this conversation was to have a plan for how we're approaching properties and to figure out who we're gonna send these letters to.
Mhm.
We did that. But then also as a
Oh,
result
wait,
of our,
did we?
Yeah, we're gonna start with 10.
Which 10? The top?
well, we're gonna start with 10, but we need to keep going. We're just gonna not overload Josh in the office.
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
appreciate.
but yes.
Which I think is
but
also
which-
quite aspirational, because we might get no phone calls at all.
Right.
Just-
Yeah, I think the response may be
Cricket.
smaller than we,
Yeah.
To that, should we
Mhm.
put, I've been wondering about, should we put like a deadline on those letters, like?
No.
No.
Okay,
And do we wanna, it's like for things like the green company properties, and there's a couple others I think that I remember being owned by the same person. Do we wanna send, like, do we wanna avoid sending multiple letters to
Yeah.
the same land?
Yeah. Well,
owners
that's always
for
just reach
different
out.
I'm
properties?
gonna reach out to Glenn for
Yeah.
green
But
company.
then there's
You
this
even
like
want a
Wayne
letter.
Bowden guy on Flat River Road who has two
Yep,
properties.
you
in
got
the
to,
Store 17.
yeah, we only need to send one to.
But
Yeah.
about both.
Right, I think they're the
Yeah.
family who donated for the Bowden land.
Yeah,
anyway.
probably.
Yeah,
Oh, they are?
yeah.
Oh, cool.
And
So-
also
Southfield.
reach out to the Nature Conservancy folks too and see if there's any properties they're actively working on, because
Yep.
they may already be in the
yeah,
process.
I would take a look, they have layers, like the planning tools for nationwide conservation on, in areas of interest.
Yeah.
And some of those are like umbrella species, some are habitats, but.
Yeah. So it feels like the other half of what we were trying to accomplish was sort of in reaction to Maria's comments of we need to have a plan. I mean, I would just like to leave here feeling like we have some cohesiveness, I guess, about like what we're trying to accomplish as a land trust.
Yep.
I guess I've already said what my opinion is, which is I think that corridor is the most important thing that Coventry has right now when it comes to open spaces.
Yep.
Right? So what is it that what is it we're fighting for, I guess? And
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
please.
fighting for a purpose, which is to preserve open space and all the other parameters that go along with it throughout the town of Coventry. That guides us as to what would be the best in terms of our scoring system. Yes, it does favor Weston a little bit just because of land out there. So it captures the corridor, but it also, you know, we have it.
This is also something we were talking about, is a question that I had about, because part of it is like the recreational piece, and we have questions about like access to the property for people. I'm wondering how / if we go about considering properties like feasibility to become recreationally available, because if we're scoring them, if we're giving points based on the like ability to access them, like parking or access via car, via bike,
We have
and
that.
yeah, but if we're doing that, in my mind, those things don't really matter if
once you get there.
it's just
It-
a
it's
plot of land with no trails, so
So
I'm
then we don't make the recommendation to the town that we purchase it.
This isn't,
but that's my
So-
question, is like, are we prioritizing land that we think going forward, are we prioritizing land that we think we will be able to put trails on, or are we just prioritizing open space, and then if we happen to be able to put trails on a land that on a piece of land that we think is valuable for all these other natural purposes, great.
Right, is it preserving habitat, or is it providing recreation, or is it?
Preservation versus
It's
conservation.
any of
right?
the above, because we looked at the property at, off Reed Schoolhouse Road where the school is. And that's pretty much landlocked. We wouldn't do anything with it other than preserve the habitat. Because
Or
it's-
have the kids do classes on it.
Not even that, it's just so the brush is so dense there, you can't really even get through. We walked it a couple of times and we couldn't get very far, and I remember talking with Glenn about it, just leaving it as it is, because it becomes a habitat and protect
Yeah.
it.
Which is what,
So we wouldn't put trails on it, we would just protect that piece of property.
which is what Audubon does,
Right,
what Nature
exactly.
Conservancy does, because you also want to create, they're called source versus sink populations.
Right,
So you basically want to make a spot for
we have some
like a
with
refuge
trails,
for
some
things
with just
to, yeah.
protecting, yeah.
The other thing that
Properties like that.
should be,
Broke properties like that.
Yeah.
the other thing that should be considered is, whether or not this group has the capacity to maintain
We don't.
Last
more
round.
trails.
Yeah,
No, no.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
don't.
I'm sure the desire is,
Mhm.
there. But,
because if we acquire property now, that say it's landlocked right now, we can always go in later and put trails on
Yep.
it. We can always buy, in theory, parking space, but if
Yep.
it gets paved over now, it's done.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, okay, so that kind of answers the question, is if we're saying right now, we're okay with the number of trail systems we have available to Coventry people, then the priority right now is not necessarily that it is easily accessible for people to go into the land. It's not necessarily that we think it like is the kind of land that could or could not be
Right.
have trails put on it. It's just,
It's a landscape
like,
scale
yeah,
perspective.
yeah. Okay,
protection,
so
yeah.
the adding trails, the recreational piece is kind of a, if that happens to be the case
That's
later in
nice,
the
right,
future,
right.
right now we're focused.
That
on
was
the other
Scott's point,
pieces.
it's like, even if we do the golf course now, we don't have to touch it for 20 years if we don't want to.
So then what's?
But I don't know if legally we, the whole attractive nuisance thing, like what kind of
Yeah.
things need to come down.
Yeah, the guy said he's chased kids out of that building. So.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot, what was interesting, there wasn't a lot of trash, like, bottles and
Yeah.
things like that. There wasn't a lot of trash, there wasn't evidence of tents or people living there or anything, but
There was one.
Huh?
There's a
There
couple
was one,
spots
yeah.
right off the bike path. you know,
Yeah.
Mattresses and blankets.
Right.
So,
But I wonder how long they had been there,
Yeah,
there wasn't
yeah.
evidence that there was housing,
Right, it
you know,
wasn't-
like
it
a
wasn't,
tent, like we see
right.
tents on
It
37
wasn't
days.
actively
Yeah.
being used. that
So,
And-
but there's been fires in that clubhouse, I think that's the place where they would gravitate to, because it's a shelter in some
Yeah.
respects.
And it's
Um,
spooky.
And it's spooky, and apparently there's a basement, so it's full of stuff, and the septic is present, so those
there's
are,
a septic system there.
yes,
Here.
right,
Yeah.
because I believe we have to fill those in.
It keeps on
Yeah.
getting, it keeps on
Yeah,
getting
we
worse.
can't have that open, yeah, because it lends itself to problems,
So then
sinkholes and,
just
yeah.
going back a little
I
bit
was
to
thinking.
my question, to like, or my first thing was, if the recreational access isn't really the priority, then do we even consider the access pieces as
So the access was put in. The access was put in because we were trying to de-emphasize Western Coventry
Right.
in a way, right?
Okay,
Because we wanted to be able to give points to potential properties that were on the eastern side that were on the bus routes or.
okay, so it's
Just
kind of a
the-
proxy for, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
got it.
so, you
Cool.
know, it's
The
some of
scoring
the give and
sheet
take things.
Yeah.
Is designed to capture as much as we want to target as we can.
Yeah, so I understand it's a part of
And
that,
the whole
okay, cool.
piece like the development rights and access and
And
things. Let's keep it-
specifically because the town council had asked us
Yes,
at one
yeah,
point,
yeah,
how come you
understood.
guys don't ever buy stuff in
Right.
the east?
Understood.
So this was
Exactly.
an effort to,
Appease.
So I think we have a game plan here. So use this. And thank you so much for making it.
oh, of course.
Send out
To do
10
it.
unless it's like, 2 properties owned by the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Give it, I don't know, maybe a month or two, see how things go.
So are we just doing the
2019.
first, yeah,
Yeah, the
the
top
first 10 on the list?
No
So
12s.
No.
we just need to put
And then
together.
who's, yeah, so who's doing that?
Letterhead with our current logo
Yes.
Yeah.
and print out the letter. I'll put the letters all ready and I'll bring them for review to submit.
It's a letter, we've
Different.
got the
Yeah.
logo.
If someone approaches
I
us,
think
Yeah.
turn them
actually,
down because they don't.
stamp them
That's
here.
how I took our
The,
Oh, okay.
somehow made it,
manager,
slightly cheaper.
is if it
Okay.
didn't fall within
And
our
then,
our
Okay.
priority,
Lynn has a
then I wouldn't, we're not
Oh,
gonna
okay.
spend the money.
It's still.
Lynn, do you have the, I maybe can find it in my email, but in case you have it more readily visible, do you have the
The PDF,
updated
but-
logo
Oh, yeah.
with
should
the,
be
with,
utilized to make letterhead.
no, I think you did. I just, it's somewhere deep in my email.
Yeah, oh,
But
okay.
the one, but also the only one that I found recently that, was the one before we, we erased the like part of the circle that was going through the wing.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
so the one that has that part erased,
Yeah.
just so we can send it to do the letterman.
okay, yeah.
I forget.
Lynn, I'll call Glenn, or I'll reach out to Glenn, so
Okay,
they'll
perfect.
help his letter.
But he, Glenn probably
Well,
knows that this is
I
gonna
don't
be
know,
so
I would-
difficult to get
I
through
know,
that.
I
he
know.
would say
Glenn's,
for-
Glenn's just the president.
Right.
I think the letter, so the families can see it and the whole.
Oh, yeah,
board.
that's why I'd asked him, who should we approach?
Well, I would give, no, I'd send it to the president.
Yeah.
and Let, you know,
But
let
if we're
them
gonna start
discuss
with
it.
just asking them, like, have they already,
Thought
do they already have a
Right, we have a
plan?
plan.
Yeah, I think maybe we don't.
I
send
would,
letters
I
to
would
Green
put it in
Company
front
for
of,
now.
no, let it get in front of the family, cause it's a whole new. There's a changeover in who's running the thing, so let them know that, no, there's new people there, they may not know the land trust or.
So yeah, maybe
They're
we'll figure out
preserving land,
who we
Yep.
they're
actually-
conserving
'cause we
land,
just have.
they're
to
doing
read
forest ma, they're doing great
Yeah.
stuff. But no, they may not have thought of, well, we're not gonna be really utilizing this piece. It would serve the same purpose if we gave it to the land trust and, it was protected that way. That would make sense.
Give so much of self.
But we gotta find out from Rory's conversation, like who, cause all we know as far as I'm aware is Green Company as the owner, so we'd have to find
Yeah,
out like who
figure
we
it
should
out.
actually send the letters to, and then I think, yeah, we can do that.
And also Glenn has put so much into this land trust
Yeah.
over the years that I wouldn't want to go around him.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
No, the
So
bottom line is this all may be moot because we don't have any money anyway. So
Which hopefully we'll find out answered.
You
We have tons of
confirmed that
money.
meeting?
We do, if we
Buy
had our own,
property.
if it was maintained our own account, we would be drawing the interest off of that,
and we
that
can
money.
decide that we wanted to do appraisals with.
Yep,
I do have budgets.
and
to
maintenance
present
of
next time.
properties.
Forest
Yeah,
management plan.
Yes.
I think the question of finding money for appraisals
Mhm.
is an easier question than you think.
Okay.
I think.
Well, we
if-
thought getting a Venmo was gonna be.
Oh, I mean, it should, yeah, I mean, but it,
I see some cynicism coming through.
yes,
Calvin,
So would the appraisal for the fairway also be $1,200?
so no, possibly not.
Yeah.
It's.
In what direction?
The two different properties, yeah. But if we run the account into the red, it's just proof that we need more.
money. Okay. Would this appraisal appraiser do a fairway
Sure.
as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's two different appraisals, one's for
Yeah.
an easement, one's for purchase.
Yeah,
But still,
But still,
Yeah.
we've always had trouble coming up with appraisers too. So we used to have to
Yeah,
run them
so
out
now
of
the-
3 and then pick one.
the state has an open RFP right now for appraisers.
yep, and none of them have responded
Yeah.
to any question I've had. Yeah.
Hopefully these one gets me.
So how do I move my score up?
We're gonna get you some cocktails,
Yeah.
get those little
So
beetles.
Josh,
We're
you
gonna
sent
play
out
it.
the documents that I sent you the other day, just for people to look at before.
Yes.
But the property is right next to me, score bigger
Oh,
than
America,
score more than me.
the ABB.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't
It could
understand
be
why.
because you're right outside the boundary
They
of something,
Clean themselves like.
right? It could be
But
right
That's
outside
the-
where there's
Hello.
poorly drained soils. It could be right outside where there's steep
Thank you.
slopes.
I'm listening.
For next week, it would be great if people had looked at that letter of affirmation, whatever, confirmation that whoever it is owns their property. I sent a sample that should be legal from what I can tell. We'll just tweak it so that it's coming, from us. And would we have the town lawyer tweak it? Was that the plan? We were gonna provide it to them to The idea was that they should bless it, rather than ask them to write one, we were gonna give them one that was
That was the
already written.
recommendation.
And hopefully all they have to do is make minor tweaks and say, here you go.
I can make that happen.
Okay, beautiful. Did anybody take a look at that?
Probably can.
And
Thursday.
to that,
Yes.
to the point, there are several emails that go around, you know, through Josh and everything, like from me, from Lynn, from you. Make sure everyone reads them beforehand, so we can avoid last time when I'm sitting here going, did you all read the emails?
So yeah, if anybody had a problem with that.
No, I mean, it was a while ago. I know I read it and didn't have any concerns,
Okay,
so
so if the lawyer could make it his own, that would be,
it was pretty basic.
it totally, I got it, it's
Yeah,
off the
very
internet.
generic.
And the other one was, I reached out to the Eagle Scout, well, the Scouts people, and they said they don't really have a person for me to talk to. It's more that they have this page on the website where Scouts can go to see what organizations have projects for them. And
So
so, yeah.
in that case, then you want to talk to, I think it's Victoria who does this at the Lanterns Council, because she frequently gets Eagle Scouts coming to her.
Because there are multiple land trusts on there
Yeah.
already. And so the question is, can
Okay.
we just be on there?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we should be.
Do we use your contact information?
Sure.
Okay, all right, so we'll just.
Or should we just use, isn't there a generic like planning at Coventry,
There is, yes, that,
just in case?
yeah.
that doesn't go to me. That used to, now it goes to the, new guy. So,
I'm just thinking for continuity, way in the future.
yeah,
Are you going somewhere?
not at the moment.
Okay.
No, but I'm just thinking, like, at some point in time.
Yeah, at some point when I'm, when I, take over.
What? We don't know.
Yes. And.
It's a burden one, really.
Oh, yeah.
That
It
one,
comes to
yeah.
us.
Well, see, that's the thing, see, I'm coming
If
to
we
you.
have to.
Yeah,
Right.
I just signed
We don't
the
have to
closing
follow it.
paperwork that resolves the purchase.
Yeah.
The buyers are signing tomorrow, so
Cool.
that'll be done this week and registered with
Oh,
the
yeah.
town, then I can submit
Those
the
were
paperwork.
Just for January.
But after we had,
To go.
Right, although, yeah.
it falls
Already.
below what
Uh,
the town to consider, or us to
Yeah.
consider.
If you just.
You know, for,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
any other
Do that.
issues
I don't know.
for next month, Monday, Tuesday?
So this is, we're gonna do a regular meeting, but it is
Oh.
primarily budget.
I think that will become as well as the budget.
Didn't we
discussion.
decide we were going
Yeah.
to try to like just quickly hit the other things we need to,
Yeah.
do, but
Mhm.
we allow a chunk of time to do the budget?
I'd get you the draft agenda.
Is the
Yeah.
usual stuff on there?
Yes.
probably.
Great.
Are we
And
allowed
I
to?
had a Google budget, too, budget on the Google.
Yeah, Lynn
Yeah.
started one, did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, is that?
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
added
fine.
some things,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but,
yeah.
but it certainly would have to have the same items that was in the last budget carried forth the new, and I didn't put those things in. But I did add some things.
I tried all your fill-in old things.
Fill in my things.
Yeah, they were
Surveys?
Yeah,
Perfect. Okay, great, thank you.
I don't know what happens like if they get received.
Yes, they do.
So I wasn't able to test if they actually went through, but
We should have.
Was it a property visit that you
Yeah.
did?
Oh, I did one of those when we did Whipple.
submit, maybe I didn't, but
No.
maybe not. So maybe. Well, I thought they were good. They were easy. They were,
Great. They're in here somewhere.
Well,
I
I
just
used
have to
one when
find
we
them.
did the, when we were at Whipple.
How do I get one of those accounts?
Sign up for it for free. Yeah.
Oh, that's probably
Here.
where it is.
oh, that's Bowden was me.
Yeah.
You're on.
Ha!
Yep.
No, you did. I did one at Bowden.
Yeah, but I credited.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, so they're here.
Cool.
There's
Yay.
just a test.
That's nice though.
No, it's really great.
It's pretty darn
They're
cool.
there, and then, well, theoretically, we'll get more people to
So
put stuff up.
This is an app, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know this.
I-
The survey, it's just called Survey 123, so you can, the link that we have to that survey, you can get it to open in the app, and that way it's
Huh.
like its own page, and so it's not like a thing on Safari that needs to keep loading, which is nice. And then you can also save it. The app has a built-in thing where you can save it to send later in case you like don't have service at that time. And that way it'll save it to your phone, and then later on in the day when you are back on Wi-Fi or service.
same
you
thing
can
that,
send it.
is that the same app that DM uses for, reporting, I saw this turtle and I saw this bird and I.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That I do-
Esri is everything.
That's not eNaturalist.
No, they have a separate one.
iNaturalist.
No, but that's
Yeah.
more like, that's like.
No, they have a
science.
survey.
So
Yeah,
everyone,
Done
every
turtles
everyone
and
uses
snakes
Esri for
and-
everything.
Does it look
so
like
it's
this?
probably-
This one, this is our trail hazard maintenance one. Right,
I think I was just testing that.
design. So you go on the app and you click which property you're on.
Oh,
or
wow.
Trail name, what time you're there, it'll take your GPS coordinate, you can
Mhm.
take a picture. The maintenance need,
Yeah, it looks like the same thing that
Yeah,
DM
probably,
uses.
probably, that's a very, very good program, simple, straightforward.
So I have something for next meeting. Next meeting will be my last one. I'm increasingly busy, so it's just untenable for me, unfortunately. However, what I would like to do though, is basically be your on-call biologist. You need me to look at something, you have a mushroom or some eagle or whatever, you call me.
Can you go on some sidewalks? Cool.
Can you still come to meetings?
No, no, I can't. I would love to. I've loved the last few years. I just can't. So,
So, Lynn?
Lynn,
Look how excited she is, guys. Okay.
I'll be acting,
yeah,
and
Stay busy.
then we have to take nominations. And then we have to vote. So,
You get to sign the letter.
I don't know if I'm the right person for it,
my parting gift.
no,
Well,
but it's, I don't wanna be the only person just cause I'm vice president, I think we need to do nominations and then gauge interest of other members.
she's so excited, you guys.
Well. If
I will
you
be- I will-
were able to take that, role, I'm sure you'd all be happy. to provide you lots
We'll chat.
I think I heard the nomination for vice president.
Or,
I was thinking Marty's a good choice.
Everybody nominate
There's a lot
one
of
other
us.
person.
Yeah.
So we
What
have
about the
conversation
leadership
first.
you
Right.
have to take leadership roles, that's a
Well,
problem.
my only well, I've never liked to be, I mean, I could easily do it. It's, I don't like doing that kind of, being I'm a more behind the scenes person than the up front, but with me, my plans of submitting my property or properties for conservation easements first. I don't want to, I don't want, a conflict of interest. I don't want it to seem to drive for the benefit of my own
after
property.
recuse yourself from everything.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it is a conversation for another meeting.
Well, would that have to be next meeting? Cause we don't wanna be rudderless.
Well, I
Well, I will be
we'll
active.
we'll be
That'd be for the
active.
February
Yeah,
meeting.
I'm
We'll
happy
be
to
active
share.
until we.
You'll
You'll be active,
Yeah.
February, we have a
As of
election.
this meeting, I'm now your acting chair.
Well,
I will have to
Until then.
investigate whether or not there is some kind of timeline that has to be held to. I don't believe there is
I don't either.
one.
the council
I don't think
doesn't
so.
have a timeline. I just know like when Lehman left, Verducci stepped in.
Yeah,
So,
um,
I'm just glad I think it's good that we have some action steps that will probably take us
Yes.
a bit of time,
We
because we
have
can be
so
acting.
much work.
We have some things we
Yeah.
can do that doesn't require anybody to like do anything new necessarily right now.
And then I think once we reconvene,
Unless all 10 of those people
Then-
get letters from us, if you
Yeah.
wanna.
Yeah.
Yeah, yay.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
It doesn't
And
make,
then we'll have our Venmo to do a big fundraiser and buy a bunch of land.
we'll see.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
But you can give up the treasurer role, and that'd be a huge burden off your shoulders, managing all that money.
Really? Yeah, I'm like $4,000.
Forced honor.
Then
All right,
I'll-
there is no public comment. Do I hear a motion to
Oh, we
adjourn?
have to do that, don't we?
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? Did you have something? Oh,
I second.
number 12 will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned at 6:55. That's pretty good.
Look at us, guys. Just 5 minutes early.
Later than it is.